Mark and I have a great advantage and disadvantage. The advantage is that we've been doing this a long, long time now, and we've become, I can't think of a better word, sophisticated photographers. So therefore, if all these blinds go up and there's daylight, Mark can shoot in it. If it's with a, with a strobe light or an HMI light, it doesn't matter, because you can work with all these things. The disadvantage is there's a loss of innocence. The picture becomes more powerful, more sophisticated, more iconic, some ways more memorable, and so on. The nice thing about someone that hasn't gone through that process is there is a spontaneous, natural thing that you do that you see, you shoot.
I'm Mark Seliger, and this is Capture. It's part of the journey, right, that your job is photographing somebody iconic and to do what you consider to be the best photograph that can be taken of that person. This is an amazing, iconic photograph of Christy Turlington, which is probably one of the best known photographs, if not the best known photograph of her.
At the time I took it, she loved it. You always have to remember, if you take a picture of Paul McCartney in '67, then he's with the Beatles in '67, the picture's '67, he's got a certain look, he's got a certain amount of, it was taken in 1967. The idea is that you're stopping time, it's an incredibly important thing. And at that time, Christy smoked cigarettes. She doesn't smoke now, of course, no. She's very healthy now and still looks amazing. But of course it bothered her that this picture became well known and that she was smoking.
What I love about your prints is that, you want to touch them. There's like a texture to them. There's a dimensionality to them that I just think they're, it's unprecedented.
I always thought it was very, very, very important that you printed your own things for obvious reasons. You could look at a picture and say, I think I'd like it darker. No, I think I'd like it lighter. I think I'd like the sky richer. I think I'd like the person's face whiter. It's always your choice because it's your picture. And the idea that somebody else takes your picture, they can be the best printer in the world, but not necessarily the best printer of your work. Avedon didn't print his own things. And you can actually tell. Helmut Newton didn't, and you can actually tell, but Irving Penn did. And when you look at the prints, as we know, Irving Penn's prints are better than Avedon's prints and also Helmut Newton's prints. Now, the photography is a different story. I'm not saying the photography is better, I'm just saying the printing's better.
Which is what we signed up for.
My son, when he was, I think he was like 7, he said, oh my God, I could never be a photographer. I said, why not? He said, the smell in this darkroom, he said, is awful. He said, I would be ill in here. And of course, I was used to being in a darkroom 12 hours, like you, Mark. And to me, I go in the morning, what was it, Apocalypse Now, the smell of napalm in the morning, the smell of the developer in the morning and the fixer and all that, acetic acid, mixing it and so on, was magic.
This is an amazing photograph.
What you're seeing is just 2 levels of the structure that goes sky high of all these skulls of people who were literally killed, and it's where they would take Cambodians and systematically just kill. And really they would start with the most intellectuals first and just obliterated a lot of the population. What's left there is just a field and this big structure with all these skulls. Definitely one of the most haunting things I've ever seen.
It shows your fierceness in being able to address that kind of documentary work.
I felt that it had to come home with a reminder, although, that's not a picture that I have framed and hung above my bed. This picture is of a little girl in Cambodia, and it was in a big trash dump. She was one of many kids I saw picking through the garbage, and this was their day-to-day job, essentially, just to survive and provide for their families. But the hopeful thing, which I pray to God for her, right next to this dump is a school that a French family came and saw the conditions and started the school. They literally go into the dump every day and they pull kids out of the dump and bring them into the school. And the kids there have uniforms and they get a meal again every day or 2, and often even are boarding at the school.
Albert, you've done a lot of pictures and spent a lot of time in Morocco.
The first time I went to Morocco was '79. And then I went back a third or fourth time at the early 90s. I bought a piece of land and then I built a huge house. Just as I was building the house, I got a call from the Prince of Morocco, who's now the king, and he wanted me to do a book on Morocco. And he said, I want you to be completely free, you can do what you want as long as you're in Morocco. He gave me his plane, so I had a jet to go all over Morocco.
Can we still get that jet?
It's still working, I think. For 34 days, 32 days, I shot all over Morocco, and I did a book for him. The book was called Morocco. This is one of the shots from that, from the book.
Beautiful.
There, and it was shot in Essaouira, which is not in Marrakesh. Essaouira is on the coast of Morocco, and it's a white city, as opposed to Marrakesh, which is a pink city.
With the book stuff, you seem to start up with a destination.
One thing that's helped me gigantically, whether it's in Benin, or whether it's like a project like this, the film school experience enabled me to plan jobs and to have an idea that if you come into Morocco to do it, so you can't cover everything, but what are you going to focus on? What's the project? And I wanted it to be like a cahier, a diary, and I began producing cyanotype prints, and then I got the idea of buying all these old papers that I could use. They were skins, basically, and I began doing cyanotype prints and platinum prints right onto these ancient papers. So the book was produced in analog form. It was not produced digitally. So I was able to pull together everything. So filmmaking experience, printing, being in a dark room, and it was a successful project. What inspires your subject choices?
The last project that I worked on was a body of work that was really traditional photography. It was taking, you know, thematically landscape, still lifes, and nudes, just really basic ideas, applying a process of platinum and palladium to it and seeing where that went. And just by kind of keeping it contained, that drove me around to where everything, I think, intersected, you know, by having that little bit of a journey.
I mean, I think I had said earlier that after I did the Morocco project, which I did in a very traditional, almost traditional way, I tried to make it an element of modernity in it, but it was traditional. And then what inspired me next, I wanted to be something nowhere near a project like that. Right. Like I would never have gone from Morocco to Benin, because although they'll be their own thing, of course, they would be too similar in a weird way.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder what it would be like to quit your job and live a life you've always dreamed of?
A bad day in the islands still beats a good day in the office.
Join me, Savannah Jane Buffett, as I head to St. Croix to meet Nate Olive, an expat from Atlanta who moved down here to follow his passion of running a sustainable farm in paradise, and in the meantime met the woman of his dreams.
What really made me a Virgin Islander was when I married Shelley.
You're really living the expat dream.
Paradise, I believe, is like what you make of it. My advice to expats, don't live on a place, live in a place.
This is it, man. This is the life.